Yo, what is good, everybody? I'm your boy Jadiro, spoiler-free Starfield review. I'll break this up into two sections for you. I'll give you my subjective review, which is based on my biases and my opinion. And then I'll give you an objective review on the game, which isn't solely based on my opinion. Let's get right into it, though, with the storyline. The truth is, I didn't find the storyline too interesting, personally. However, it was a very clever twist, which I've never seen in a video game before. I do think there are video games out there that have a similar twist, but I like the way that this one was delivered. I managed to get to the storyline in 19 hours. Hear me out. I was strictly just going based off of what the devs said to do. They said you wouldn't fully experience this game until you beat the story. So I did just that, and I did only the storyline missions at first, and I got through the game in about 19 hours. Other than the interesting twist, without giving any spoilers, I found that you just basically found artifacts. You rinsed and repeated that with a main sub-character in the game, and that was basically what you did. Again, the devs said you needed to beat the game to experience this game at its full potential, which I did. And at the end of the game, it allows you, without giving any spoilers away, it just allows you to play the game again, but in a different light. And in a different light, all that means is that they leave you at the level cap that you ended the game and the storyline at, and you could start the game over at that level, as opposed to have to do the hard, grindy part of the game, which took a lot of my time in the first place. So to summarize, I didn't find the story that interesting. That's just personal to me and these type of games. I didn't find it that interesting. However, it did have a very unique plot twist, which I found interesting. So I really appreciate that part of the story. But I could have probably done without it. However, I was going solely based on what the devs said to do, which was beat the game to experience the game at its fullest. So I thought beating the story would mean that we get into another subplot or another plot that would elaborate on the game's storyline, which it didn't. If you guys want to go check out that episode, I'll link it in the description. You can see the finale where I do beat the game. If you don't plan on playing the game yourself and you just want to see what the ending's like, you can go view it there. So out of 5, I give the storyline a 2.5, and that is subject to me, and that is my personal opinion on how I felt through the game. Alright guys, let's get on to the gameplay next. The gameplay was very smooth, whether I was doing melee or I was doing gunning. Either way, I was having a good time. However, the melee in this game felt way more powerful than the shooting in this game. That can be contributed to the fact that I ran the Ronin class, which does start you off with the duelist skill tree. And just to touch on that without any spoilers, as you can see, the duelist tree, it gives you 4 ranks, but at the very end, which is very easy to acquire, your melee kills heal you for 10% of your health. So basically, I was able to hack and slash my way through this game as a Ronin Samurai, as a space Ronin Samurai at that, and I found the gameplay very easily. I did not struggle whatsoever. There's many various melee weapons in this game, but I felt like I was always swinging the same weapon, whether it was an axe or a dagger or this sword, for instance. I didn't really feel like I was using a different weapon ever. It just looked cool to be running a samurai sword. So it definitely got rule of cool points for me that I was able to actually get a samurai sword as a Ronin. That was dope. As for the guns, there was tons of variations for the guns. They all fired different. There were shotguns, submachine guns. There was a lot of various guns that I could have used, which I didn't end up using because, again, I found that the melee is way overpowered in this game. But again, whether I was running and gunning or swinging my samurai sword, the combat didn't feel complicated at all. As for the skill tree here, guys, as you can see, it's not complicated at all. I managed to get to level 29. There's no spoilers here. I wish I didn't go medicine, and I wish I didn't go jetpack. Didn't really need it for the Ronin class. That's besides the point. I just wanted to make it clear and let you guys know that it wasn't very complicated for me to understand the skill tree. So I gave it plus points for that as well. What I can do is, if you guys want, let me know in the comments. I can do the top 5 best skills when you're just starting out the game. Just let me know in the comments if you guys want to see a video like that, and I'd be sure to whip one up for you. So again, the combat wasn't hard. The skill tree wasn't hard to understand. I felt like I just breezed through the combat. Not only did I breeze through the combat, but I breezed through the game as a melee. I highly suggest going melee if you go a Ronin class or melee class. It is OP. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the powers. You get many various powers in this game. This is no spoiler. You get into this pretty early in the game. I also felt this is cool and kind of like a throwback to Skyrim in a sense. I really like that they added this into the gameplay. It really made your gameplay feel unique at times. I want to give the gameplay and the combat a 4 out of 5 for this game. Probably the highlight of the game for me. I really enjoyed it. It felt really easy to play. I really breezed through most of the quests. So I appreciate that they made it easy to play and easy to understand. But they also had this element of freestyle in there where you're able to put like different powers and different guns and different melee weapons in the game. Even though most of them felt the same, I really felt like they did give you some variable freedom to have in the game, which I really appreciate. So my subjective review for this game is 3.5 out of 5. That's what I give the game. Honestly, it's not the game for me. I thought beating the storyline quick would have bettered my experience, but in fact, I kind of felt like I just wanted the game to be over with by the time I was done for it. And I have to honestly admit that it's just not the game for me. I'm a competitive player that loves multiplayer games. And this game is really for the single player, which we're going to get into next. My overall objective review of the game is a 4 out of 5. I think if you're like a diehard Bethesda enthusiast and you love games like Fallout and Skyrim, you're definitely going to love this game. This is a single player's dream, but a competitive player's worst nightmare. With that being said, there's so much to do in this game. I've seen many people say that they've experienced 60 plus hours just doing side quests and they haven't even touched the storyline yet. So my advice there is, if I could go back and do it again, I really wish I didn't just go and zoom through the storyline like the devs said, or at least they alluded to, making it sound like that was the move, like you beat the storyline and then you experience the game. I would highly recommend that you do not beat the storyline right away. I highly recommend that you experience the game, get fully immersed, travel, try out everything, whether that's shipbuilding or, making a colony on another planet or just doing the side quests. I fully recommend you do that before you beat the storyline. Speaking of the Bethesda enthusiasts, I really felt like I was playing another Fallout game with the combat and the way the weapons and you can literally pick up everything. However, that element of having like powers in the game really brought me back to that Skyrim element. So I felt like you got a good mishmash of both games here. Not only that, if you're the type of person that wants to sink hours and hours into gameplay and just like fully get lost in the game, I think this is the game for you. I think most Bethesda single player game enjoyers will give this a solid 5 out of 5 or a 4 out of 5. It's definitely up there for experience, being fully immersed, gameplay, the optimism of the game being so huge allows you to do really whatever you want. I've seen people become debt collectors to military to bounty hunters. So there's so much that you can do in this game. I feel like anyone that loves Bethesda games will definitely give this game a high score. So objectively speaking, I think this game gets a solid 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. I think it's a dope game for people that enjoy Bethesda games for sure. I really want to keep playing this game, so I'll still be doing some live streams. I'll show you guys the aftermath content after you beat the storyline. Maybe I can re-experience it or relive it in a different way. And I really hope that's what the developers meant by you have to beat the storyline to experience the game. Going forward too, I hope they add more to the game in terms of content. Like I hope they do add multiplayer. However, to be completely honest, I don't think this game really lends itself to being multiplayer. But if they do, that'd be amazing. But yeah, guys, that's it for me. I really hope you get your chance to get your own experience with Starfield and you have your own subjective review of this game. But objectively, I think it's a great game. Solid 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. But personally, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Just wasn't my type of game. I also had some grievances with the game, which I've talked about earlier. There's one quest where I got soft locked into a quest, and I had to lose about 3 hours of gameplay just to go back to a previous save to continue the game. I hope you enjoy this review, guys. Let me know in the comments how you feel about Starfield, if you played it yourself, or let me know if you haven't played it and you plan on playing in the future. And don't forget to turn on your notifications, because every time I post a video, you guys will know right away. I'm your boy Jadiro, signing off for now. Peace!